So guys, we're back. The Strongman Classic has just had to happen this weekend, and my God, what a show. Really entertaining, a lot of upsets, a lot of things that you just would have never expected. I mean, like, literally never. Especially the podium, Jesus. Like, there was one guy who was on the podium, right, that I'd say if you had paid me to predict the podium beforehand, €1,000,000, I wouldn't have guessed him on there. Genuinely wouldn't have guessed him on there. Another guy got onto it and I was thinking, maybe, I'm not super surprised. Someone else won the show, which I hadn't quite expected, but I did expect him in at least second place, so I guess he was kind of predictable in that sense. But outside of that, my God, what a turnout. But yeah, we'll just get into it there quickly. So, first event, we had the log ladder. So they had 5 logs ranging from 120 up to 180 kilos. So Lucas Hatton coming out there taking the win. Trey Mitchell coming second. Matesh coming third. He Viper pressed 4 of the logs. He had to push press the last one. Evan Singleton getting in there into 4th place. Now, this is where we had a few of the surprises. So Mitchell Hooper dropped a decent amount of points there. I'm not entirely sure where he placed, but he was definitely outside the top 5. He actually tripped over the first log. He kind of caught himself pretty quick, to be fair. Went up again, but he wasn't able to get as far as the 5th log, as he just couldn't clean it. His knee was giving him awful bother. He just couldn't clean it. And possibly his bicep as well, but I think he was explaining that the knee is the biggest issue at the moment in relation to log. So then we went on to the Hercules hold. Evan Singleton going out there getting the event win, which I did not expect. To be fair, I didn't think he'd be far off it, but I'm genuinely surprised they took the win. I thought that Reno would take the win, and I thought Mitch would be right behind Reno, based on off of Worlds. Evan taking the win with 1 minute and 11 seconds. Then we had Nick Gardione, who was right behind him with 1 minute and 10. Then Hooper dropped to like 5th or 6th. That being said, I think 5 seconds separated Hooper from like 1st place. There was a lot of people in around the kind of minute 5, minute 6 second kind of mark. It was insanely tight because I think there was 8 guys that went over a minute, which is almost unheard of. Like, usually when you do a Hercules hold, you might get 3, at max 4 going over a minute. To get 8 is ridiculous. Like, last place was Pavel Kardiaka, and he still got like 49 seconds, which is insane. Then we had the frame carry. I believe Evan took the win here. Yet another event win. He absolutely flew with it. He did it in 9.13 seconds. So it was a 360 kilo frame. A bit like what they have the Arnold's, only a bit lighter. And he went, I don't know how far they went. I don't know, was it around 20 meters, 15, 20? Then Reno went out and he got 8.59 seconds. But the problem was he was going so fast that he tripped. And when he tripped, he put his hands out in front of him to stop his head from hitting off the frame. And that actually pushed the frame a good bit forward. And the rule was that if there was a slide over the line with the frame, a noticeable slide, there would be a 2-second penalty. So then, what happened as a result then, I think Reno dropped back to around 5th then. And then Hooper dropped the frame along the way, which cost him about a second. He was there kind of lower end of the table as well. Trey, unfortunately, didn't even move the frame. I was a little bit surprised by this now because this frame is lighter than one at Arnold's and he is able to move that one. But to be fair, he was after coming off the back of a Hercules hold, so that kind of makes a lot of sense. Oh, sorry for all the yawning. It is early in the morning here. But we're getting it done. So I guess Trey's grip was completely spent after the Hercules hold, but it's a real pity because, like, Trey did really well outside of this. It cost him so many points. So, like, I believe it's his, I don't know which hand it is, but one of his hands anyway, when his hand is in that kind of downward position, slightly out to the side doing a frame, it just pinches on the nerve and just like causes a lot of pressure, causes him to release. He obviously has the strength to lift the frame. That's not the issue, because his deadlift strength is just obscene. It's just the nerve issue. Like, I think the best thing Trey could do is like maybe take some time off strongman, like 6 months out, 8 months out, and just like possibly get like some surgery done there, or something like that, or maybe even try hook grip or something, because that's like, to get 0 points in an event where you're like hitting in the top 5 everywhere else is just like mind-boggling, really. So then we had Lucas. Lucas got a couple of meters all right, but he couldn't quite finish it. Again, to be fair to Lucas, he'd never actually done Hercules hold before. So his grip was like doubly spent before that. So that was after the frame carry. Actually, another one to shout out, Nick Gardione did really well here. And he came second as well in the Hercules hold. So he was placing pretty good overall. I believe he was in 3rd or 4th at this point. Then we had the deadlift for reps, where Evan Singleton went out and pulled 7 reps. Trey Mitchell, no surprises there, got 10 reps of 350. He basically did what he did at Worlds all over again. Didn't bother with the suit, went out, did 10 reps, looked like could have done more and ran out of time. Paddy got 8 reps, almost got 9, didn't quite lock it out. Matesh went out then and just looked like he kind of gave up at this point. He just did 1 rep to get a point on the board. He knew he would have had to beat 4, I think, by Pablo. I think he could have tied for 4, in fairness. He probably could have tied points, but he just wasn't bothered, which is not surprising with Matesh. If he thinks he can't win, he just kind of gives up. Then Mitch went out and pulled 7. Now, Mitch on a normal day would be good for 8 or 9 reps, definitely. But he was actually suffering from a pinched nerve in his back that he got from doing, I believe it was hex bar deadlift a little while ago. So that was starting to affect him. His body just wasn't serving him all weekend, so that was a bit of a pity, in fairness. And then we had the stones. So now, speaking of Evan Singleton was in a 7.5 point lead going into this event. So one would think, this is Evan Singleton, this is Atlas Stones, what could possibly go wrong? He's a pretty good Atlas Stone lifter. I couldn't see how he'd possibly lose any points here. Until he went out with Jacko Schoonwinkel, who was actually in 2nd place at this point. He was just chipping away all along, just picking up the points. So 2 of them went out together. Evan did his usual thing before an event, where he likes to hit his head off a wall or off of something. Problem was, he went to hit his head off the stone platform, and he kind of hit it like around the corner. And what happened was, he actually got a deep gash like around the very top of his forehead, the lower top of his forehead. And that was bleeding, but it was under his bandana. And it started like gushing down his face a little bit. Didn't seem to affect him for the first 4 stones. They all flew up. Then he got to the last stone, and it just looked tough. It looked tough, and he couldn't quite do it. Jesus. And he was explaining that basically what happened was his his grip was starting to go, because there wasn't much tacky on the stone. Not only that, but blood was starting to get all over the stone, making it slippier as well. And I think he was probably starting to feel a little bit of pressure on that bicep too, at that point, just given how slippery it was. So he couldn't get that last rep. And that was really concerning, because literally everyone else in the field, bar like 3 people, got all 5. So I was thinking to myself, like, oh, he could have lost it here. And I was actually looking at it on paper thinking, Jacko Schoonwinkel could have actually won the whole competition. And it was all just silence for a minute, and they were totting up the scores. And next thing they came out and said Evan Singleton won by 1.5 points, and I just lost it. Like, I was over the moon for him, absolutely over the moon. Really cool to see. And then Paddy Haynes, since he took 1st place in that event, managed to make the podium. So our podium finish was Evan Singleton, Jacko Schoonwinkel, and Paddy Haynes. which was absolutely insane. I never saw that coming. I was doubting Paddy making podium because I had heard that he had suffered a minor shoulder injury at the UK Strongest Man the week before. So I was thinking, no, there's no way he's going to come in prepped. Like the overhead medley, he's going to lose out on too much. I believe he got 3 of the 5 logs, which to be honest was more than I expected, given the situation with the shoulder. But he did some really good damage control there. Jaco Schoonwinkel, I can't remember his positions in the events overall, but I do remember he just didn't drop points anywhere. Like, I think in the log, he was like 5th or 6th, which was decent. He was definitely top 4 in the Hercules hold, top 4 or 5 in the frame. Deadlift, I can't remember what he pulled in deadlift. Yeah, I can't remember. I think he got 6, so he was kind of mid-table there. And then Stones, I think he had a pretty solid performance there as well. I think he was top 4 or 5 again. He got all 5 anyway, so he was definitely in the top half of the pack. But yeah, Jaco Schoonwinkel was probably the biggest surprise out of everyone in this whole competition. He had said before that, like, I don't know if it was a World Tour Finals or something he did last year, and he performed very poorly, and it was just because he was really sick. And I was kind of thinking with Jaco, like, the best performance I'd seen from him was in Worlds 2023, I think it was. He was in a group with Brian Shaw, and I think he won that group. He either won that group or he was near him or something. It might have been 2022 actually, I'm not sure. But I remember that was the time him and Matt Ragg kind of came onto the scene, and the two of them had made the finals. So, like, I knew he was a good strongman, but I just thought, like, I heard a lot of people saying he was suffering a lot of injuries and all this other stuff. I just thought he wouldn't be, just didn't think he'd be in shape. But no, he really just came out of nowhere and just showed people what he's capable of. And like, he was 1.5 points off winning that competition as well, which is insane. And beating the likes of Paddy Haynes as well is, that is good. Like, Paddy has placed 2nd at Worlds this year, and I believe he was, not 2nd at Worlds, 2nd at Europe's and 5th at Worlds. So he is a quality strongman, and he's definitely one to watch out for as well. I'm hoping as well that now that Hooper is actually withdrawn from Strongman Earth, that Jaco might get the reserve spot, because he 100% deserves to be there. Like, there was a lineup of absolute killers that weekend, and to come 2nd is insane. Just to touch on Rain O'Neill and Mitchell Hooper as well. Those are the 2 guys I saw on the podium with Evan. Hooper, physically and mentally, just looked like he wasn't there. He placed, I think he was Giants 7th with Nick Gardione. He had torn his bicep a little bit. Well, he'd pulled it a small bit in training. Then he tore a little bit on the stones. But even outside of that, apparently he was having a hip issue and knee issue. I think the hip issue might have been the back pain, so maybe like lower back pain. So the back issue, the knee issue, and the bicep issue going into that competition, and just mentally just not seeming well. Like, I think he actually broke down like during the competition as well, which is just not the way you want to see him, considering like how just dominant he's been in the sport for literally like 2.5 years now. Pity to see him that way, but I do believe he's taking a break now from Strongest Man on Earth and from the deadlift championships as well, just to get his body back together really, and just come back and compete. And I think he was saying he wants to get into phase 2 of his career, where he doesn't just compete at every single one of the shows, but does more of like the bigger shows and puts more emphasis on them, longer preps and things like that. Outside of that, Rain O'Neill, he just made a few like silly mistakes that cost him a lot. I think he was 4th overall, tied 4th, so he actually didn't do that bad, but like the frame cost him a lot. I think he didn't wait for the down command on like 1 or 2 of the reps on deadlift. What else? He did okay on Hercules holds. Log was never his strength anyway. He got 4 there, and not in an amazing time. So yeah, Rain O'Neill was just a little bit off. I didn't expect him to win the show anyway, but I'm a bit surprised he was off podium. But yeah, that was kind of the story with most of the guys pretty much. But back to the actual champion himself, Evan Singleton. My God, I must say, what an impressive showing. I did say, guys, in my predictions for Worlds that I gave him a 25% chance to win this year. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. He didn't make it to the finals due to the bicep injury. But what a comeback. My God, like he came back and Hartley's hold didn't affect his bicep. What else? Well, I suppose log didn't really affect his bicep either. His cleans look fine. I think he slowed him down a small bit just to be safe, but you know, he still got fourth, like, and he beat Hooper. So not a bad day at the office, I wouldn't say. And yeah, Stones, I wouldn't even say Stones affected his bicep. It was more just the fact that he was fucking gushing blood from his forehead. That was just causing all the issues, and you know, he was running low on tacky, so his biceps pretty much healed. And now he's going to have a lot of confidence after the win. You could tell it like meant the world to him too, so it was really exciting to see. But I genuinely think if he showed up in that shape at Worlds, he easily would have been top two, if not had won the competition. No, he was just on fire every event. Like, he just didn't drop points, bar the stones. But still, getting 4 stones when your head is gushing with blood isn't a bad showing at all. But he was just so good, like 2 event wins and just placing really high as well in all the other ones. Yeah, he was very consistent all around, and I think he's in a really good spot now going into Strongest Man on Earth. I might actually do a predictions video soon enough on Strongest Man on Earth once we get the athletes finalised. But I would not be surprised if Evan was, you know, touching podium there or just outside it. So yeah, looking forward to that one, guys. So I will let you know what the story is for the next videos, and we'll see you later.